Well, hello, I'm Stephen Gilson,
And I'm Liz DuPoy.
and we want to thank you for your willingness to participate in this evaluation of this piece of mobility equipment, which we've labeled Mojo. What we'd like to do today is tell you a little bit about why we developed it, why we came up with it, some of our thinking about it, some of the understanding in terms of our evaluation of it, in terms of the function and form of the equipment, and ultimately what we would like from you or what we need from you as we move forward with the design and production of the equipment.
Okay, so first we'll give you a little bit of background about why we developed it. Both of us need mobility equipment, and also my father, who is 89, played into much of our thinking about the need for modular equipment, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So, what is Mojo? It is a lightweight mobility device that is basically along the lines of Legos. It has a number of different elements that can be easily assembled and disassembled. It has different feet. So for example, that you can put a ski on it. You can use a typical cane tip. You could put a wheel on it, which we are illustrating in some of the photos that we are showing you. And an individual can buy one part, the cane, or two parts, two canes, or three parts, both canes and a connector, which ultimately turn the device into a walker. At the bottom, the tip will accommodate a number of different contacts with the ground. One can be a cane tip. You could have a ski tip on it for being able to navigate on snow like today, ice and snow. And it can go on a single cane, it can go on double canes, or it can go on the device if it's configured as a walker.
Because in essence, what we're trying to come up with here is a device that has multiple purposes with the components that, again, part of the issue is the ease of assemble and disassembling them.
And you can do that yourself.
Right. And so as your needs may change over time, where you're using equipment may change over time, you can move back and forth between the equipment. You can look at some of the static images that we have also provided that show the capability of the singular crutch cane being able to expand or open and then or contract, and that is easily done. The other parts that we looked at and thinking about the form and function piece is what makes something usable, what makes something that you want to keep it out of your closet so that those of us who may need equipment, one of the biggest barriers oftentimes to using equipment is its appearance in terms of what it conjures up both in ourselves as well as in other people who look at us. Myself, having used crutches and canes and walkers and wheelchair for a time, often think about how I looked like in that. And so that played into our thinking about the design for this particular piece of equipment. What we needed to look like to maintain a sense of positive form, but also attending to its function. Does it do what we want it to do?
And is it comfortable? And does it create more injuries, such as is the case when you use your hand to grip and bear your weight on a typical cane or crutch? Or is this more comfortable and less injurious to your upper body, in particular your hand, your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder?
And we know that today you're not going to be able to actually put your hands on the piece of equipment and use it as you move back and forth across the room. So we're really asking you to imagine or play out in your brain, looking at the piece of equipment, what is it used for? I'm knowing myself, having used a typical Canadian crutch for years, that I ended up with kind of significant injury to my shoulder and ultimately needed surgery on that because of the weight I was carrying, the downward pressure. So looking at the design of this, does this look like something that might help you maintain an upright stance? Is it a piece of equipment that's going to help you take some weight off. So if is it weight bearing? Is it going to assist you for not or fall prevention? So again, you're using it as a single crutch or two crutches, or with the device that goes in between, the linking device that would go between the two, the component that would make it into a rolling walker. So what are the possibilities? And with that, does that multiple component piece, make it more reasonable for you?
And so what we are envisioning is that you will be able to buy one, some, or all of the parts of Mojo and put them together if you need them. And let me give you an example from my own father. My father uses a cane in the house, and he needs a walker when he goes out. He has a number of separate devices. So for him, he has to take his walker with him and put it in the car along with the cane, which he uses mostly indoors. He lives in an urban area, and so for him to be able to walk on a sidewalk, he needs a rolling walker. He also needs a seat where he can sit down. So for him to carry a number of different devices becomes onerous, and he often will not go out in order to avoid doing that.
So as you look at both the images that we provided as well as listen a little bit to the story, and whether you use a piece of equipment, a piece of mobility equipment, or you work with people, or you know people, or have a family member who uses it, imagine their reaction and what you would want to see in a piece of mobility equipment, and in this case a piece of modular mobility equipment.
So, what do we need from you? Well, we want you to look at the photos after you have listened to this video and answer questions both about form and function. What about the features do you like? What is missing? What features don't you like? What about the appearance of the device? Do you like? What don't you like? What colors would you like to see? What other ideas for names would you have? What else do you think would make this device most usable? Where would you like to get it? Or where do you think it should be available, whether it be at a pharmacy or at a medical supply store or at a rehab center, or any or all of the above? What else would you suggest for us as far as feet? Right now we're envisioning that the tips will be a static tip as in a regular cane, a wheel that will be stopped by a handbrake, and a ski bottom, so that, as well as an ice grip, so that people can safely use it in outdoor winter climates. So what else do you think should be part of it? For example, should there be electronics on it for a pedometer? Do you want to measure the amount of steps that you take, which is something that I like to do? Do you want to use it as a fitness device? If so, for what kinds of activities would you be using this? So we look forward to your evaluation. We also would like to know what you think of the name. We also thought of Leg Go, but I don't know if we can do that. So we look forward to any and all information that you are willing to give us that will help us evaluate and develop this device to meet your needs or the needs of others who need mobility equipment.